Hi, good morning, everyone. And my name is Sue Ann. And today's sharing that I'll be doing with you will be effective formatting. So what I will do right now is let me just share my screen. All right, in here. Right. Okay, so let me just do some settings on my PC and then we will start. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me just move this to a side. All right. Okay, so good morning, everyone. And my session today will be on effective formatting with Excel. So here's what I'm going to be sharing with you. So today's session, I will be doing conditional formatting. Now, there are plenty of formattings that Excel can actually do. So I'll be sharing with you one of them, which is what we call the conditional formatting. So I guess all of you have also attended earlier session like done by Siti Suryani. Hers was awesome as well. So many tips and tricks that she shared with you. So my session right now is going to be effective formatting. So I will be sharing with you something called conditional formatting. So what is actually conditional formatting? So conditional formatting basically is a highlighting of cells with certain colors and depending on the cell's value. All right. So today I have prepared for you two different worksheets here. So one of them will be sales rules and the other one will be something called highlighting duplicates. All right. So here we're going to share with you this thing called sales rules. Right. Okay, let me just move into here. Now, so as you can see on my worksheet right now, what you will see is you will see three separate columns here. So I have prepared three separate columns. And in this table here, what I have is I have the product ID, the product, as well as the quantity in stock. So what I want to do right now is I would like to highlight those values that are below 100. So when we are selling sporting goods in a shop or in an outlet, what we want is we want to ensure that we have enough stock. So anything that is below 100, I like this to be highlighted with a certain color. So most of the time, users may not be aware of how conditional formatting is done. So what they normally will do is they will manually color them. So basically what they will do is they have a few ways of doing it. One, they will sort up the data and look at the values that is below 100, and then they will manually color them. So today I'm not going to sort my data. So what I'll be doing here is I am just going to use this manual color just to show you. Now, this is what users will do. They will just pick up and they start highlighting. So what happens right now, if one of the numbers has increased, or perhaps when you eyeball it, what is going to happen is people will not be able to see certain things. So what they will do is they will just quickly get them colored and maybe they might miss out one or two of them. So here is what I'm going to share with you. So if I happen to manually change this number to 186, this will not remove the yellow color for me. So this is what I don't want. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to share with you something called conditional formatting. So before we do conditional formatting, you are required to highlight the data. So you don't really have to highlight the required data, but what you need to do is you basically tell Excel that, okay, the whole block of data is located in column C or wherever it is. So what we will do is we will go to the home ribbon. So the home ribbon is located at the top left-hand corner. And what you will do is you're going to go into this area called the styles group. And under the styles group, you will see something called conditional formatting. So when you click on the drop-down list for conditional formatting, there are many, many types here. So the first one that I'm going to be showing you today, it's something called highlight cells rules. This is one of the easiest way to work with conditional formatting. So what you can do is you can choose things like greater than, less than, and so on. So I will be looking at something called less than. So when we click on less than, so you notice what happens is the conditional formatting here has actually highlighted some random numbers for you. So these numbers are not the numbers that I really want. So I can basically specify the value that I want over here. So what we will do is I will just key in a value of 100. So any numbers below 100, it will be highlighted. So these will be the default color. which is red in color. So it's light red field with dark red text. Now, some people will say, nah, I don't like the red color. I like it to be perhaps yellow. So I can choose a yellow over here, or I can also choose a green. Now, you notice these three colors are basically the colors of your traffic lights. So what you can do is probably you can use a red color to tell them that, hey, look, I'm already below my quantity in stock. All right, my quantity in stock is running low, so this is where it's time for me to replenish. Or the yellow one is just telling you that, okay, I'm borderline. And the green one, perhaps you can tell them that, hey, green means I'm still good with stock, so I don't really need to replenish my stock. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it as the default, and I'm going to click on OK. There. So this is already highlighted. Now, what if I increase one of the numbers and see what is going to happen here? All right, I'm going to go back to my gloves, and this value is 86. So let's say now I'm going to change this to 186, and watch what is going to happen. So you notice when I use conditional formatting, if the numbers are the numbers gone beyond 100, what is going to happen here is it is going to change to the default color, which is white in color. So which means you will not have any colors there. All right. Okay. So this is how you create your conditional formatting on screen. Now, the other thing is you can also do extra conditional formattings in a block. So here's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you one more, which is the value, all right, above, all right, 100. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the same block once more and watch what is going to happen. We're going to go back into your conditional formatting button, and this time we're going to go back to highlight cells rules, and this time I'm going to say greater than. So greater than here, I'm going to key in 100. Now you notice it will take the default red color. So I don't want that default red color. So I'm going to change that default red color to a color of my choice. So if the value is above 100, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use green in color. So because any value that is above 100, I want it to be highlighted green. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. So you notice there are green and red highlighted for your data. Now, what if I have a value that touches on the dot 100? Okay, so if I touch 100, you notice this will remove the color. So some of you will say, hey, can I have it when it's on the dot 100? I want it to be highlighted in perhaps yellow color. So what I'll do is, I don't care where the 100 value is, I just highlight the whole block, and we're going to go into conditional formatting. So go back to conditional formatting. We're going to use highlight cells rules. So this time we're going to say equals to, and we're going to key in 100. Now, please change the color, otherwise you will see red in color. So we're going to change this to yellow, and we're going to click on the OK button. So can you see there are three colors on the screen? So you have your red, your yellow, and your green. So basically they are colors of your traffic lights. So these highlight cells rules will help you to look at your stock, or some of you may be keeping track of your products in the office, inventories, and so on. You can actually use this to highlight your data. All right. Okay. So this is one of them. Now, later, if time permits, I'll just show you how you can remove them. All right. So the next sharing that I'm going to be doing with you, it is this thing called highlight duplicates. Now, what I have over here on screen is this. Now I have a whole set of data. So this would be like a transaction ID. All right. So I have transaction ID, I have the date, I have the salesman, I have the product, I have the sales, I have the cost, as well as my profit. Now, in this set of database, we really do not know whether you have what we call duplicate values. So most of the time, what users will do is, I have users telling me, hey, Sue-Ann, whenever I want to look at duplicates, I will just look at it on screen. I eyeball it. So eyeball it, if you have thousands of data, you're going to have a big problem trying to eyeball one by one. So I'm going to share with you two types of highlighting duplicates. One of them, it's using the built-in conditional formatting. And the other one that I'm going to share with you will be using some formulas. All right. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just highlight the areas that I'm going to be finding it a duplicate value. So here, so if you're going to look at it, so some of the dates may be a bit hard to tell. So normally what I will do is I will use the transaction ID, all right? But not necessarily transaction ID can be 100% duplicate. Sometimes it may be users errors and things like that. So what is going to happen, people might key in the same value repeated. All right, so never mind. What I'm going to show you here is, this is what I'm going to share with you. So I'm just going to highlight all my data in the transaction ID, and we're going to return back to conditional formatting. So over here, under the home ribbon, we're going to go into conditional formatting. So what I will do here is I'm going to click on conditional formatting, and I'm going to use highlight cells rules. So when we go into highlight cells rules, can you see this option here that says duplicate values? All right, so I'm going to click on duplicate values. So when I click on duplicate values, what is going to happen here is this is going to allow me to use red in color. To me, the color is not important. What I want here is I want the conditional formatting to highlight duplicate values here. So what happens here is you have a choice to say either you want duplicate or you want something called unique. So I'm going to leave this as duplicate, and I'm going to say OK. Now, see what is going to happen here. This is just basically highlighting the numbers. So the next thing is you're still not too sure whether the date is duplicate, the salesman, the product, the sales, and also the cost, whether they are 100% duplicate. It could be transaction ID that is entered wrongly. All right. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get rid of these existing color. And I'm going to share with you how we can use this in a formula, all right? Okay, so I will start to share with you how we're going to remove the conditional formatting. Now, sometimes when you create too many conditional formattings, you basically wouldn't know where the conditional formattings are created. So what you can do is you can go under conditional formatting. So to clear rules, there are two methods. One is to select the existing cells, and they will clear rules from selected cells. The other one is, just in case you say, geez, I can't remember where have I put in my conditional formatting. So what we will do is we will say clear rules from entire sheet. So I don't care where the conditional formatting is, as long as it is in this worksheet, wherever the cells are highlighted with conditional formatting, just clear them off. So I'm going to do this. All right, done. So the next thing that I'm going to be sharing with you here is we're going to do highlighting duplicate values or duplicate data with a formula. So before we do anything, so when we want to check for duplicate values, we don't just take our transaction ID alone. So what we will do is we will check for the transaction ID all the way up to the profit column. So here we have a few columns. So what I'm going to do over here is I am going to create, all right, a formula here to join up all the fields to ensure that every single field is in one single cell. All right, so all the fields are joined into one single cell, and what we're going to do is we are going to use this to check for our duplicate values. So here is what I'm going to be typing in my column H. So we're going to say all fields. All right, and the other one that I'm going to be doing later, I will use another formula here to also decide whether how many times this particular item appears. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to type in duplicate, and then I put a question mark there. So this will be my label. All right, so in order for me to join up all the fields that we are going to see on screen, so we're going to use this function called concatenate. All right, concatenate is a formula that will help you join up all the fields to make them into a single cell. So to do this, I'm going to just type in equals concatenate. All right, or you can also use concat if you are using Office 365. All right, so we're going to use concatenate, and I'm going to pull out my dialog box. So what we will do over here is we have this concatenate function. So basically, it allows you to join up several text fields into a single string. So what we'll do is we're going to take A4. I'm going to take B4. I'm not going to separate them with a space because that is not necessary. All right. So I'm going to take the salesman, and then we're going to go down to the product, the text. All right. Sorry, the sales, and then the cost as well as the profit. So what you will see here, you'll see something that doesn't really make sense, but that is used for us to check for duplicate values. All right, so here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to hit enter. So if this doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't really matter, because this is not going to be displayed on screen. Later, I will make you hide this column so that when you look at the data, it looks like just a database alone. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to be doing, so here we're going to, you still remember what CT shared with you this morning? One of the tips that you can copy the formula downwards, you can basically use your autofill. So there's a shortcut that you can use. Place it at the bottom right hand corner of your formula cell. So what we will do is we'll do a double click. So when we do a double click, you notice all the formulas are being copied downwards. So without you pulling it multiple times. So this is the fastest way to copy your formula. All right. So a lot of people say, hey, column H don't make sense. Yes, definitely it doesn't make sense. So this column H, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to use this column H to check for duplicate values. All right. So in my column I, I'm going to create another formula. So this formula will help us count to see how many times this particular item appears. All right. So what I'm going to be doing here is under the duplicate column, here's where I'm going to create a formula. So we are going to use a formula called count if. So this count if formula is to count the value if it is a duplicate. All right, so this is what I'm going to be sharing with you. So over in your column I, we're going to use count if function. So everyone, we're going to type in equals and we're going to type COUNT. Now, when you type COUNT, there's multiple functions that begins with COUNT. So we're going to put in one more character, which is an I. So I will see count if. So we're going to pick up count if. So I'm going to select count if. So the next thing to do is we are going to click on this insert function dialog. So for new users, a lot of them will come and tell me, hey, Suen, I don't remember all the functions. So this insert function dialog box will give you some tips to fill in the blanks. Otherwise, some of you will say that, hey, I don't know what to fill in. All right. So the next thing here that I'm going to be looking at is this range. So range basically means the group of data that you want to count, which is non-blank. So the group of data that I'm going to be counting will be my all fields. So I'm going to select H4 all the way down to the end here. So we're going to select H4 all the way down to your H20. So H4 to H20. Now, please remember, when the formulas are being copied downwards, what is going to happen is the cell reference will move. So to ensure that the cell reference will not move, what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to freeze the cell. So I'm going to press my F4 key so that the dollar symbol appears. So this dollar symbol tells you that the formula is a absolute reference, so it will not change. So the criteria that I'm looking at over here is this thing that is your actual cell, which is your H4. All right. So here's what I'm going to be doing here. So I'm just going to say OK. So once I say OK, can you see that this will show me that this particular data appears only once. So let's do a double click to copy everything downwards. So you notice some of these will show 2. So that means there is a duplicate. All right. So for you, when you look at this figure 2, which means it is a duplicate. So sometimes you can also say that, yes, it may appear 3 times. All right. It may be double, it may be 3 times, maybe 4 times, depending. All right. So for the moment, all I have here will be basically all duplicate values. All right. Now, to create that, what you call conditional formatting, so that it highlights the whole record. So here's what I'm going to be doing. Right, so I'm going to highlight from A4 all the way on to the end of the data. Now, excluding all fields and the duplicate column. All right, so the next thing that I'll be doing here is I am going to use conditional formatting. All right, and under conditional formatting, I'm not going to be using the presets here. So I'm going to say something called new rule. So when you choose the new rule option, this is where you will put in your formula. All right. Okay, so under this area here, there are many options that you can choose. So I'm going to use the last option. This last option is what we call use formulas to determine which cell to format. Now, what kind of formula should we be using so that the conditional formatting will know how to highlight the data? All right, so what I'll be doing here is I am going to use the count is that count if function that I did in column I. But this formula will be slightly different because this is going to be done in a conditional formatting dialog box. All right. So what I will be doing here is this. I am going to do this. All right. So what we will do over here is I'm going to create a formula. All right. So just give me a minute. I need to just zoom in a little bit. All right. Hold on a minute. Sorry. Okay. So let me just get my zoom in. All right, I'm going to use this software, Zoom It, so that when I zoom in the dialog box, you can see what I'm typing. All right, okay, so here we're going to put in equals count. Now, unfortunately, when you are doing the formulas in the conditional formatting, the count if functions you have to type. So you must know your syntax. Count if, open bracket. Now, when you do your count if, what we're going to do over here is we are going to highlight the data. So we're still using column H. So we're going to highlight the whole of column H. So all the way down. And you notice this will freeze from H4 to H20, which is correct. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So what happens here is you will see that. You will see that. All right. So okay. So what happens here is you will see that the formula here will show you count ifs H4 to H20. Now we're going to put in a comma, and this comma here that I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to choose the function of your H4. Now this H4 is going to freeze your H4. So inside your formula, you are not supposed to freeze your H4. Your H4 needs to be able to move. So we're going to press the F4 key twice. 1, 2. So the reason why we're going to press the F4 key twice, this is because we want to ensure that we are looking at column H alone. All right. So I'm going to close my bracket, but this will just count. But how are we going to tell them that it is going to be greater than 1? So I'm going to type in greater than 1 here. Reason being is I want to count those more than 1. So we're going to put in a color. All right. So here we are going to look at the format. So we can customize the format that we want. So we can choose any format of your choice. So we can choose it to be bold or italics. So I'm going to have this bold italics, and I'm going to set a color. So the color that I'll be using today, I'm going to use blue, all right? And I'm going to have a field here, a background color. So this background color, I will still use the same blue. So I have a light blue background with a dark blue wording, all right? So here's what I'm going to do. There, this is where you can preview. So basically, this formula will format the values where this formula is true. So when it meets this formula, what it will do is it will color the text for you. All right, so let's just say OK. So can you see those duplicate values? We'll have them colored on screen. All right, so what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to just make some changes, all right, on the screen. So I will just make some changes to my values on my cell A13. So I'm just going to change something. Now you notice A5 and A13, row 5 and row 13, they are duplicate, right? So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to change that transaction ID number. So I'm just going to change this to 1075, all right? And I'm going to hit enter. So you notice when I change this to 1075, you notice this particular data is no longer highlighted as duplicate value because every other columns are duplicate. Basically from the date all the way up to the profit, the values are the same except for its transaction ID. All right. So this is what you will see on screen. And so some users will come and tell me, hey, Sue Ann, I don't like to see all this unwanted data on my column H and column I. So what you can do is you can basically highlight this data and you can just hide them away. So when you hide them away, you can basically see that these are all duplicate values on screen. All right. So this is something that is really, really handy. And now I still have a few more minutes before the next speaker comes in. All right. So what I will do over here is I am going to share with you how we can remove those conditional formattings that we have created. All right. Or some of you will say, hey, Suen, I want to edit the colors. Oh, that is also possible. It all depends on what you want here, right? So I'm going to show you what we can do under the sales rules. So we're going to go back to sales rules and over here. So you notice in this column C, I have 3 different conditional formattings highlighted. So what I'm going to be doing over here is this. I am going to remove one of them. So I'm going to remove the one that is above 100 and on the dot of 100. So I'm going to highlight all this block. So just now, remember I showed you how you could remove the conditional formatting. So there are 2 ways of removing it. So over here, we're going to go into conditional formatting. Now, if I say clear rules from selected cells, now watch this. If I do this, what is going to happen? It basically clears off everything. So I need to do undo. All right. Now, if I said using clear rules from entire sheet, what is going to happen? This is going to clear off everything. It's the same as this, but this is based on selection. So right now, I want to just remove those colors that I am not interested in. So let's go under Manage Rules. So under the Manage Rules here, this is what we call the Rule Manager. In your Rule Manager, if you have created 3 colors, you will see 3 colors. And in this area, you can also see that sometimes people may add extra conditional formattings that you don't want. You can basically remove them. So I will remove the conditional formatting that is equals to 100, which is this yellow. So you see, we have a few options here. We have new rule, edit rule, and delete rule. So I'm going to say delete rule. All right. And I'm also going to delete the green one as well, the one that is above 100. So I'm going to say delete rule, and I'm going to say apply. So when I say apply, you will notice that these colors are only showing us red color only. So let's just say okay and done. All right. So this is basically how you can use conditional formatting. So conditional formatting, it's a very, very useful function to help you to color your cells effectively. So without you doing manual coloring, without you eyeballing it. So I think after this session, there will be a lot of you using conditional formatting, because there are many, many conditional formatting options that you can use, but unfortunately, time is not with us. So I will have to make way later for my second speaker. So this, my next speaker, sorry, the next speaker will be Noor. So I am already done. So I hope all of you have learned something from here. So I will just see whether Noor is ready. Noor, are you here? Hi, Noor. All right. Okay. If she's not here, then I will still show you a little bit. Hi.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay, Noor. Hi, Noor. How are you?
You know the usual Zoom problem?
Yeah.
Mute. I was on mute and I was responding to you.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. So sorry. Yeah, because we have to mute ourselves, right? So
Yes.
yeah. All right. All right. So I'm actually done with my session already. So yep. So your next session. So stay on, because Noor is going to share with us something really handy. It is up and running Microsoft project. So for those of you, yeah.
Before you go,
Yes.
you have to agree. All of us, the whole bunch are a passionate group, isn't it? Right?
Yes,
That we want
of
to
course.
share, every single one of us.
Yeah, we wish we had longer time. We wish we had longer time to agree. Yeah. So no worries. Anyway.
All right. Thank you, Suen.
You are most welcome, Noor. So the floor is yours.
I'm gonna steal some of your tips for my class.
Oh, sure. I will stay back and watch your tips as well. All right.
Okay.
So, all right. So see you. Good luck, Noor. And the floor is yours. Thank you.